Thank you. Appreciate it. That's what I needed you to do. Oh. Oh, well.
It sounds like a promise. Sounds like all three.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Loud and clear. 5 by 5.
5 by 5. Or in my case, 3.5 by 5.
3.5 by 5.
Yeah. All right. So I'll do the gavel. Click, click, click. Welcome to the November Omaha Astronomical Society General Meeting. I'm going to try to go probably a different pace tonight. I am a bit under the weather, so please forgive me if I make any mistakes. Hey, guess what? I'm on Zoom this month too. So I'm using my headphones and I use them for the meeting. I also remember to mute my microphone when I'm not speaking, but that's most of the time when I'm speaking tonight. If you don't want to be seen, you can mute your video like I'm doing right now because you probably don't want to see me. To file a motion, question, or comment when on Zoom, you can unmute and state your name. Do we have any guests this evening on Zoom?
Aren't they family? This is his first.
I think that's everybody are normal, right? Austin,
before, but that's
Cassie, Mark, Sonali, Mike Moderson, myself, Carol.
Dolly's on. All the way from India, huh?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
How many? Is there any guests in the room?
Just the baby.
Just the baby. Well, that's family membership. That's where that $25 starts to really earn its keep.
Right.
All right. It's Leo, right? The baby's name. Leo, how did you hear about us?
Well,
I couldn't resist. Sorry. All right. Since you're all members, you already know all that. That makes me speaking a lot easier. We do have upcoming dates. Ooh. Sorry, had to mute you, Jordan. Astronomy in the Parks on the 14th. Then the holiday party, Friday, December 1st at Cane Farm. Yay! Miserals coming up in June of 2024. Did anybody use Astro Park in the last month?
Nope.
Nope.
Not here. None here. None in there.
Okay. So if you haven't done so yet, there is a RSVP sheet for the holiday party. So that we can properly order the meat component for this year. I'm sure it'll be chicken and we'll add some extra items onto it. But we're just going to do the meat, which is going back to the old way of doing things. We didn't fully cater it before 2021. So we're going to kind of switch back to that. It's 7 to 10 p.m. But what time can they show up early, Jordan?
I mean, I'll probably be setting up 2 or 3 hours early. Mike said he's gonna come out a few hours early to set up the sound system, so you're welcome to come out and relax, enjoy the countryside. Yeah. I don't know, 3 hours early, 2 hours early.
Yeah, you could make it 5:30 or 6. That way, if the music starts playing, you can listen in.
Does anybody need to sign up for the RSVP for the Christmas party?
Oh yeah, Mike has the form on his laptop right
I'll
there.
do it online. I'll get it. Which I couldn't do. Okay. I gotta send it right now.
So if you want, you can check with Mike on doing the sign up right there to make it easy. I'll just leave this up for another 5 seconds. Awards chair is currently out. She's also as sick as I am. We've been home all week from work. But please consider an AL award. There was to be a award presentation tonight, but that will have to be moved until next month. So stay tuned for that. Observing chair. Should I do it or will you do it, Sonali?
Wake up, Sonali.
It's like
Six
It might
thirty.
be too early there.
Um,
We can do it. I can do it.
the game.
November 2023.
Sorry, had to find the mute
Oh.
button to unmute myself. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know.
Okay, so Jupiter reached opposition November 3rd, and the exact time was 5 UTC. If you've not seen Jupiter yet, it's brilliant. Starts in the early evening and goes pretty much till the morning. That's what opposition is. And that little diagram, which is not to scale, I don't see those letters there. Maybe it's just my view, but represents the sun, the earth on one side, and depicts what opposition means. And since Uranus is also at opposition later this month, you can see Jupiter and Uranus right there. Neptune and Uranus are visible. Venus is bright early in the morning before sunrise. Mercury is very close to the horizon, but it is visible. And if, again, you've never seen Mercury before, look for the crescent moon on November 14th, and it's close to that. Mars reaches conjunction with the sun November 18th, and we're not able to see it. And of course, Saturn, the other showstopper, is also visible in the evening, close to midnight. So a pretty sight to see all the planets this month. Next slide, please. The moon, new moon is November 13th, full moon November 27th. And this month I just threw in last quarter and first quarter as well, if you wanted to do some lunar observing for the astronomical program. We have some meteor showers coming up. The Leonid meteor showers from the comet 55P Temple Tuttle. Its peak is November 17th to 18th, and that's pretty close to about around the first quarter moon, so not too bad. And at its max, you can see about 10 meteors an hour if you're in a relatively darker sky region. I think that's pretty much all I have. Oh, yeah, sorry, DST and Sunday, so set your clocks back.
That means more stargazing in the evening.
that it does.
Earlier times would be nice. Thank you, Sonali.
Thanks, John.
Outreach. Boy, what happened to our outreach slide?
Mhm.
I'm going to stop the share so you guys can talk. Will that be good for now? Because I want to be able to see you. I can't see you when I'm sharing the screen. So
Yeah, so this Tuesday,
14th.
next a week from Tuesday, we'll have our monthly astronomy in the park at Lake Zarinsky.
That's about it.
That's about it. We've got the library telescope workday, the first one. See how many we can get through on the 18th, so Saturday morning. We'll meet down at AIM Brain Exchange on 19th and Howard. We'll have all 50 telescopes have come in. I've got all of the hardware and bits and bobs we need as well. So we could really use as many people as we can get our hands on to come down and work through that pile of telescopes to change out the hardware, put on decals, solder up red dot finders, whatever your skill level or whatever you're comfortable with, we'll find something that you can do to help out. I'll provide lunch of some fashion. I think it starts at 10 o'clock. I believe 10 o'clock, we're gonna call it. We're gonna do the Misro meeting right early that day, before that.
Says 11 in the newsletter, but
Okay, 11 o'clock, sure.
come early though.
Come early if you want, we'll be down there.
I couldn't find my unmute. Thanks, John.
And then I'm also working on a collaboration with Prairie STEM, which would be a Sunday morning event. There's several events now through like January. So if anybody's interested in helping out with some of those, I don't know exactly the extent of what that's going to be yet, but I'll keep you posted on that.
What day? I mean, what's
On
in?
Sunday morning,
Sunday morning.
like
Oh, okay.
several Sundays.
Where?
I'd be downtown at the Mastercraft building, kind of north downtown.
Indoors, right?
Possibly.
Hmm.
Maybe some solar observing, maybe some daytime lunar observing, depending on the phases.
Okay.
It starts at like 9, I think they start at 9:30 AM. Still working on what that's gonna turn out to be.
Yeah, give me, we'll put it out, everybody, if you give me the particulars once you know.
Yep, yeah.
Is there a Kennedy Steam Night coming up?
Oh, yeah, very good, thank you.
Oh, that's what I forgot.
Kennedy
Thank
Steam
you.
Night on Tuesday, the 28th. That's at 5:30 to 7:30, at Howard Kennedy Elementary on
Binney, 30th and Binney.
30th and Bingley Street. There'll be an indoor event, there'll be a table, we'll have the gravity buckets, the handouts. Laser maze is always popular.
Bring a couple telescopes, we can,
Yeah, if anybody has some telescopes that can focus in a short distance, we'll put some science up on the wall and let kids look through that way.
Doug Kalpa usually has some crew there too. And they kind of, we hand in hand kind of a thing.
And yeah, that's it for outreach.
okay, I just wanted to. Yeah, most of
I-
you have seen. the
I can hear him
cookies.
fine.
Can you hear me fine? I'll
Yep.
speak up. I can project pretty well. I just wanted to give you a rundown on all the Papillion La Vista elementary schools. I'm sure Mike Gallagher will have a little more in the financial treasury report, but based on the numbers I had from Ann and counting out there when I was able to get out there, we saw at least 900 students with probably another 100 or so adults mixed in with that. We're over 1,000 people. And so far donations from those schools have added up to $740. We're still trying to track down one school. So well done for all of you that helped out. And as I said, there's cookies here. I think I got plenty. So if you want more than one, or if you didn't get a chance to help out, you can still have a cookie. All right.
Telescope and binocular loan program. You might want to hand him the mic.
Harry notes here. Yeah, the light switch and the Coronado have come back, still waiting to hear from one of the folks who got on, who was in line requesting the Coronado to see whether he wants it or not, so I'm not sure how available that will be. 4SE also made it back as well. And the 8-inch Dob and the 8-inch Schmidt, the equatorial mount got checked out this month.
Got checked out?
What's that?
What got checked out?
The 8-inch Dob. and Eden Schmidt with the equatorial bout. We removed 3 scopes from our inventory. We have there was an older B2080 that needed some attention. One of our members purchased it. And the 6-inch black Dob and white Dob that goes up on here got donated to UNO. If you sweet talk Krista, you might be able to capitalize on their availability, but I can't check them out anymore. And we have a couple that Mike Motorson received as donation to come in and take the place of a couple of these that went out, so. That's about it for the scope loan.
Thank you, Stafford. Cynthia.
Hi. Oh, sure.
You want to talk about next week's event?
Okay, who has their tickets for the Luminarium so far? If you still need to get tickets, I want you to come on out and join us. If you're a member, you're over 18, come on out to the Luminarium. See me if you want information on getting tickets. I have a QR code over there. And also, I forgot to mention last time that on the Discord channel, how many of you guys are on Discord? Yeah, if you need help getting on Discord, if you're a member, we can help you get logged on, or it's in the newsletter, how to get logged on. But there is a social channel in there. So not only our official events, but if people want to do impromptu events, and you can just chime in the social and for example, if there happens to be like a Star Wars movie on a Friday and like, hey, does anybody want to get a group to go, and things like that. So yeah, we've posted some things in there. Not a lot going on during the cold winter time, but we are looking forward to the Luminarium. And if anybody has any ideas for future events, you can chime in there on the social on Discord, or just let me know. Does anybody have any questions?
I have this one question. I don't even know what's going on for the Luminarium.
Luminarium?
What is it all about?
I haven't been yet. Mike has been. He might do better to tell you guys.
Science Museum down.
I know that,
Yeah.
but I don't know what this deal is.
So-
I'm just assuming, or curious, the ticket, $20 is that what they charge to get in to see this place?
Yes.
Yeah, you get your ticket online through the website, and then we meet. We'll meet in the lobby unless it's nice outside. We might just meet outside.
And then they're gonna do something for us, or we're just gonna go through as a group?
Just go
It's
through
kind of
it.
a free ranging thing. We'll just meet there and just socialize and check it all out together.
Thank you. Well, that's all I needed.
It's their adult night, so there's no kids or anything
I
running
understand.
around, so it'll just be.
So you get to play with the toys.
Yeah, so you can actually interact with the exhibits and not have to hit check a kid out of the way.
Adult playtime.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Cynthia. Program chair.
As you were sitting there, but you were standing there, so.
Okay, so quick thing about tonight's program. It's a young gal just out of high school. She founded a nonprofit group while she was in high school at the young age of 15 called Girls in Aerospace. So she basically connects mentors with mentees, and the mentors are everyone and anyone from around the world that is in aerospace, astronautical, industries. There's been pilots, science, techs, mathematical fields, engineering, and the young women are older than her even, and they're coming from all over the world too. So I had a really great interview with her, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with all of you and getting you inspired as well. And there's some cool thing that I'll share after that, kind of about her program. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Tool time. I've got 2 tool times tonight.
Bill?
And Mike, you'll need to share your screen from that computer too for us to see it.
Start with the PowerPoint. Yep. How many people saw the annular eclipse? I know Kim was down there, I was down there. I met up with some of the guys that I camp with who are in the PVAO, the Platte Valley Astronomical Observers. And we went down to Farmington, New Mexico, up in the northwest corner. And while we met at one of the hotels, got in the lobby as we're talk about this. And if you know Mark Erweiler, he was kind of the gang leader for this thing. And he decided, you know, what he wanted to do was they were down there about 10 or 11 years ago for another annular eclipse, and they went to Chaco Canyon and helped out with some stuff down there. So he was thinking about going down there. Well, while we were talking in the lobby of the hotel, this other group heard us and said, we talked to a park ranger from Chaco the other day, and they are going to shut off admittance to the park as soon as the parking lot is full. So you got to be there probably before 7 o'clock in the morning to do this. And we didn't want to pack in equipment if we were, you know, stranded outside the gates. So we looked for a different place to go to. What do I need to go to the next slide?
Space.
Right arrow. Just. So here we are. Farmington is way up there past the 371 sign. What I want you to pay attention to is this little curve right here and this dirt road.
Use the mouse.
You can look at the screen. Okay. So Farmington is just up here. And one of the things we found out talking to people is it's very important not to be on tribal land, Navajo tribal land. These days are sacred to the Navajo, and you don't want to, you know, cause a problem with that. So again, focus on this area down here, because on the next slide, where did you hit? Right arrow on the keyboard there. This is the path of annularity. So there's Farmington way up here, and here's this curve in the road. This dashed line is the center line for the eclipse. So we were going to be right out here within a couple of miles of the center line for the eclipse. We started setting up, and this guy in this big white pickup drove by and said, you know, you're on tribal land. It's like, well, how far do we have to go to get off tribal land? Because all these little squares are tribal land, you know, and how do you tell out there in the middle of nowhere where this is? Well, this guy is obviously a local, so we're down here, and he said, well, you got to go about a half mile. So we ended up probably around in here and started setting up. And we had, there was just a little bit of a pullout off of this dirt road where we started setting up. There were a couple of cars from Colorado there. We were talking to those guys, you know, they came down for the eclipse, going to do all this stuff. So we got going and started getting it all set up. And talking to Mark, and what I'm using is I'm using my 60D Canon camera with the 500mm lens. The orange color that I'm getting on this is from some Seymour solar film. You want to turn that down a little? Can we turn the lights down a little bit? A little bit, not a whole lot. Because that'll make it a little easier to see. I forgot about it. I didn't think about that.
It's near the door entry, like scene 3 or.
Yeah. You don't have to turn them on all the way. Well, I guess that won't make a difference. But you get that nice orange color with that Seymour solar film And I just made the filter. I had a couple of sheets from the Seymour Solar film that I think I won out at NSP. And talking to Mark, he said, what you want to do is focus on the edge of the sun, not in the sunspot. You can see a couple of sunspots right in here, but they're not in focus because I'm trying to focus on the edge because I really wanted to catch that ring of fire that you hear about. So as we get further into the eclipse, more and more of it disappears. And as we get really close to annularity, we're not quite there yet. You can't quite see that ring of fire. But now you're starting to see it all the way around the moon. And then there's the ring of fire. And that's exactly why I drove 16 hours each way to go see. It was really amazing. And you know, you click a bunch of pictures and then annularity ends and everything starts coming back. So where's video 2? Where are the videos? I took a couple of videos of what it actually looked like. No, video 1. And this is just me with my camera on my phone, just going around.
You'll need to reshare the screen.
You need to reshare the screen, Mike.
Yeah.
Stop share.
Thanks for doing all the extra work, Mike. There you go.
They're not pausing. Okay, this is before annularity happens, and the difference that we were talking about this is, you know, people who I know, who I talk about when I'm going out there, who are not really into astronomy that much, wonder, well, how dark is it going to get during this eclipse? Is it going to be really dark? No, it's not going to be very dark at all. And what you notice more than anything was the colors of everything, plants and everything, started to fade. So take a look at what the plants look like, especially. You get a kind of a reddish color. There's my friend Grant. I went down there with him. He helped me drive. There's Mark and Kathy Erweiler, their vehicle. And this guy here in the white pickup right there is the guy who told us that we were on tribal land. So you get a pretty nice idea of how nice it was that day. It was, you know, low 60s, no breeze, no clouds, a few cows. But other than that, not very much. Now, video 2.
Just go to media. Don't.
Look at how subdued the colors are in the plants.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, I can see it.
it's working.
There's my camera set up. And you know, looking especially at these plants up close, you can really see a difference in how vivid the color is in the plants, which, you know, looking at this video is pretty striking, actually. I thought it was really interesting to see that. And you can see there's a couple of cars in the background with people set up just along the road, trying to observe. And that was just me standing with my phone, just doing a 360 degrees turn. So that was my experience going down and watching the annular eclipse. Any questions?
Did you notice the temperature change? It got cold in Albuquerque.
I didn't really notice
cool.
any temperature change. Like I said, it was mid 60s. You know, if it dropped a couple of degrees, I really didn't notice it.
Cool. Thanks, Bill.
Two, you said?
Yep.
You want the lights up?
Not yet.
Are you the second one?
Well, it's Sonali's photos.
Oh, sorry.
I think Kim would also like to share some photos.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Well, this was the Omaha experience. As everyone in Omaha knew, that day was cold and cloudy. Should I repeat cloudy several times? But it was cloudy. There was Mike and John who had set up downtown, and John Johnson, Ali and I were the intrepid people over at UNO. We did have two people come by. None of them got to see the eclipse. By about noon, there was a little break in the clouds, and we were just debating whether we should leave when we saw the break in the clouds and sighted the eclipse. Of course, in Omaha, it was partial, nothing like Bill's adventure, but these are a few photos with my cell phone. We actually didn't, when I tried to look through the solar glasses, you couldn't really see anything. We had a really natural cloud filter that day. But yeah, these are just a few photos, and I got a couple of instances. I do really like the cloud effect. That's all I'm going to say. But it was still exciting to see the partial solar eclipse.
Cool. Thank you, Sonali.
Yeah, we were able to get a couple of the same similar glimpses through those light clouds downtown. Maybe a dozen people got to see it that was down there.
Do you have the video where we were on the news?
Oh,
Yeah, I can play it on disc. I have it on Discord linked. I can pull that up after. I'll do that after Kim's. Great. Quick. Next.
Share.
Yep.
Down at the bottom.
Yeah. Just click that arrow.
Okay, we're looking at it. So most of my family's in Albuquerque, so I just told my sister I'd love to come to her place and do this with family and friends. Is there a mic here?
Yeah,
Can
you
folks
sit
online
right
hear
to
me?
the left of you there.
The picture here, I didn't do anything fancy. I didn't take pictures directly of the eclipse. I tried with my cell phone and solar film. For whatever reason, it didn't work, so I didn't dwell on that. What I wanted to do was talk to friends and family and just have fun. This is my neighbor, no, sorry, my nephew Asher holding up a colander. And my dad, and on the ground. Okay. This is in the way, these images right here are in the way, but you can see annularity on the ground in the little images. All right, how do we go to the next one?
there's an arrow that appears on the right
you
hand
go.
side. There you go.
That's not me, obviously, that's NASA. So since I'm a taxpayer, this is my photo, it belongs to NASA. Thank you, NASA. And there were just so many good places to find good images. Didn't worry too much about getting exact images. This is one of my favorites. I meant to do this during the 2017 eclipse with the colander making the pinhole camera images on the ground. And it just worked perfectly. It just worked so well. You can see every single one of those is an image of the annular sun at the strongest, deepest part of the annularity. Oh, my family with the glasses. This is my nephew and I. We're holding our fingers together, making little holes on the ground, projecting a deep part of the crescent eclipse on the ground. That's me and Asher. This is from Fred Espinac. I just wanted to throw that picture in there because I did notice this as the sun went in and out of annularity. We did notice the little spots, the little Bailey's bead images on the side. So again, you can see the picture there, Fred Espinac. Another thing I saw on his website was he was talking about how it doesn't get particularly dark in annular eclipse. And several of the people I were with were kept saying, "How do we get darker? Why isn't it darker?" But one thing we noticed was it felt like you had just put on a heavily polarized pair of glasses and everything looked a little bit off with the colors and a little darker, but definitely nothing like the 2017 complete eclipse. There's a deep partial. The fellow in the middle is using my binoculars with solar film on them and that I got from Orion. Worked really well, passed those big binos around, and the solar film stayed tight on there, worked really well. Oh, there's all of us. I brought bagels and orange juice for everybody. And everybody had a good time. In fact, I was in short sleeves. They were all in jackets and blankets. They're like, "Man, it's cold." I'm like, "I'm fine." "Oh, yeah, you're from Nebraska. Okay." This is one of the images on the ground, looking with under the trees. Same pinhole camera effect. The deep partial eclipse throws little crescents all over the ground. Nephews again. That's it. One thing I did was we noticed how the temperature dropped. It was significant and everybody felt it. We estimated it was between 5 and 8 degrees. I thought I would just call time every once in a while and see what the temperature was. No, it's not updated frequently enough. That was worthless. Should have had a thermometer with me on the table. But that was it. We had a great time. And my favorite thing is that the nephews have talked their parents into going to see the full eclipse, the total solar eclipse in Texas in April. So that's awesome. There we go.
All right.
Thanks, Kim.
Yeah.
Yo, you hearing my voice? Go towards the light switch.
Want the lights out?
Please. And I'll this real quick. This is just word for those who aren't on it currently.
Yeah.
But this was us down at well, here's UNO and then us down at the riverfront. There's our riverfront set up right across from the Luminarium booth. Sonali was at UNO with the little cone things I made. Really crappy cell phone photos. You can barely see our partial. There's the UNO
That
crew.
was the intrepid crew.
They got some better shots than I did. Yeah, we had a lot of people came through. Unfortunately, couldn't show them much. Aaron was
Probably
down,
75 people.
Aaron was down in New Mexico as well. There's Diana, some photos from Diana. She was in Albuquerque. And then, yeah, we were interviewed sort of.
You'll have to reshare the new tab it opened. You share with audio?
Yep.
An ad. Block.
Ad block.
Supposed to have a 60% view of today's partial eclipse. I don't know if you saw it, but TV News Watch 7's Maddie Augustine shows us the vantage point from the riverfront downtown.
Solar eclipse, dozens gathered at Omaha's riverfront.
We try to make it to all the eclipses or any partial eclipses that we can. We've got our friends out here with the Omaha Astronomical Society who have a lot of really cool tech stuff and telescopes and solar telescopes. And then we're also out here with a little bit of a low tech way to go about viewing the eclipse.
But Mother Nature had other plans. With the exception of just a couple of seconds, the eclipse was hidden behind the clouds.
We're happy to see the eclipse. We're pretty excited about it, so it's a bit of a bummer.
Yet the crowd didn't seem to mind.
I just think it's a great opportunity, for kids to do some hands-on learning.
Kiewit Luminarium and Omaha Astronomical Society live streamed a view of the eclipse from New Mexico, answered questions, and gave everyone the chance to look through telescopes.
For us, it's really about engaging our community and letting them know that we want to talk about science. We want to talk about STEAM with them.
The mission of our organization is to spread astronomical awareness and to bring the wonders of our, solar system and beyond to the public.
And with several aspiring scientists and astronauts in attendance,
I'm planning to be a scientist when I grow up.
parents are grateful for the unique opportunity.
I think the more that they get exposed to these things, the more their world will open up and they can do whatever they want, later on in life.
Maddie Augustine, KETV, News Watch 7.
So that's the impact our outreach has. So. Thanks for all of you.
Check 1, 2, check. Speak again. Well, it's break time anyway, and you figured it out during that. Louis, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Thank you. Okay. No, you can't hear me. 1, 2, 3, 4.
We can hear you.
All right. So is that your gladiator thumb to be like, oh, it's out. Okay, so let's do this. Let's take a break for about 10 minutes to 8:25, and then we'll do the presentation. Does that sound good? Okie doke.
Because it's not on the grid, like it's here. And so here, it really helps if you.
About time to start up again. Mike, you can choose yes on that button. Don't forget to check the audio share.
So are the trains
Close it,
particular vintage?
Mike.
What's that?
Stop the share again. Reshare again. And then at the bottom it says share with audio. Both those, check both of them. There you go.
Yes, essentially no scenery.
All right.
Okay.
Now for us at home, that looks better.
Dinner Associated Press, president of Zoom.
Ready to go with that?
I'm good.
All right, let's, here's program.
You want to change the lighting too? I'll give you if I can hear an audio or not.
Hello, I'm Carolina.
Yep.
I'm the founder of the Girls in Aerospace Foundation, which is a global 501c3 that focuses on aerospace equity, especially for young women around the world.
Fantastic. And you have a few social media profiles, a website that we can visit, and your presence is growing in the community of STEM, I see, which is how I found
Yeah, thank you so much. We're Girls in Aerospace on every platform except for Twitter. That's at Girls in Aero. So Instagram at Girls in Aerospace. We're also on Facebook, and then our website is girlsinaerospace.org. And all of our programs are on those platforms.
Very nice. So if someone wants to find you, the best place to go would be first your website, and then they can get some more information.
That's true, exactly.
Okay. So when I was looking at your website and kind of browsing through your Instagram feed, Carolina, I found that you guys go back actually a few years, and you started this nonprofit when you were in high school still. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. I started Girls in Aerospace when I was 15 years old. I was fortunate enough to be part of a program called the Civil Air Patrol, which is the United States Air Force Auxiliary. And through the Civil Air Patrol, I got to take an orientation flight in a little Cessna Skyhawk out of Boeing Fields in Seattle. And I was so fortunate and grateful to be able to do this. It was such an inspirational moment for me. And I'm originally from Poland. So I went and talked to my friends back home. I was like, guys, I got to fly a plane. It was amazing. I loved it. And they were like, wow, we're also so passionate about this, but we don't really have the opportunity to do that. We don't really have the programs around here, and we don't have anything like the Civil Air Patrol in Poland. And so I started thinking, I was like, how can I kind of maybe start making a difference, maybe do something to bring like the aerospace opportunities for youth to Poland and all around the world. So that's where Girls in Aerospace was born. It was literally just me at 15, in the middle of the pandemic, organizing Zoom calls and doing all of that.
Oh my goodness. So your first interest came from the friends back in Poland. Yeah, you mean?
Yes, so I was kind of raised in two cultures because my parents moved here right before I was born. So I have friends back home who are interested in aviation, aerospace, and all of that. And then I grew up here. I had school here, so I got to kind of grow up in both worlds and see the difference.
Ah, very nice. I was wondering with that, I listened to your TEDx youth talk a little bit, and you mentioned you had that chance to go fly, and you flew a lot with your family. So I was curious, like really where that inspiration came from. And so you were really focusing on trying to bring opportunities like that to Poland. Do you see a majority of the young women joining this mentor program and your nonprofit coming from Poland, or do you now have people all over the world that are wanting
Yeah,
to
so
do
it
this?
used to be just really Poland and the US because that was where I had connections. That's where I could tell people, hey, tell your friends, sign up, all of that. But now it is super global. We have almost 35 countries represented in this edition of the mentorship program, and signups have only been open for 9 days now. So it's really becoming a global thing. I wouldn't say that there's a majority really from anywhere. We still do have quite a few applicants from the US and Poland because that's where our roots are, but really it's international now, and that's something I'm super proud of.
And you just mentioned that the applications have been open for a few days. So do you do different rounds of applications?
Yes, that's correct. So we do them in cohorts. That we're currently on our third edition. So we lead this mentorship program. At first, it was completely asynchronous, kind of free form mentorship where we would just pair the mentor mentee and they could kind of decide where they wanted to go with it, how long they wanted to stay in contact for, and all of that. Now it's a little bit more structured. So for this edition, it's a 5-week program. So we're running it all at the same time. And that's why there's a little bit more stringent sign up periods so that we can match everyone and get going. But it's kind of evolved as the nonprofit has grown. So now we're on our third edition where the first one was pretty small group, like mostly Poland, US, free form, they just sent emails back and forth. And now we have prizes and meetings and webinars and all of that, which is awesome.
So then with the meetings, you got to do most of it over the webinars. And so you have the mentors and the mentees, just everyone coming together on one big group call.
Yes, that's correct. We're trying to do that this edition where we have some full group meetings. Generally, it's pretty individual mentor mentee just because we're in all different time zones around the world. So organizing a meeting with all of us is very logistically difficult, but we do have a Discord server where everyone can talk to each other and exchange mentorship that way too. But we are trying to organize some full group meetings this time around.
So tell me then more about this mentor-mentee bond, this relationship. Like how are you, or how did you find all these people to be mentors, and how are you matching them with the mentees?
Yeah, so it's super simple of a process actually for everyone applying. The mentees have like a 10-minute application where they just answer 2 questions about, what have you done in aerospace? Where are you at in your journey? Are you in high school or in college? Have you already graduated or are you doing grad school? And then they answer like, what are you looking for in a mentor? Are you interested in maybe astrophysics? Do you want to work in aircraft maintenance? Do you want to do astrophotography? Like there's just so many different niches of aerospace that we want to cater to. So they answer those 2 questions, and then we also have a mentor application, which we just send all over the place to all kinds of different astronomy groups and colleges and all of that. And people who are currently pursuing aerospace, completely volunteers, fill that out, and we try to match interest to interest. And usually we're able to get a pretty good pair, because I found that women who pursue aerospace are so willing to uplift other women who are trying to go into the field. So thankfully it's been pretty easy to actually find mentors, and they're just willing to volunteer their time completely for free.
And I saw some of the Instagram posts of the mentors you have, and they're all over
They're
the place, and they're like
incredible. We're
top of their
so
field.
fortunate. Yes, that's correct. We have literally world-renowned mentors who are very well known in the aerospace field. So we're so grateful to have them just like come to us by their own volition and want to volunteer to help other girls join.
Gosh, when are you the main person that's reaching out to them, chatting with them, and telling them about this program?
To some degree, yes. I think that with the language barriers sometimes with other countries, sometimes we have girls in Poland who reach out to people in Europe, like Germany, Sweden, those areas. But in general, I kind of facilitate, hey, maybe we should reach out to, let's say, 5 to 10 women in this area, and I send that off to someone who I think could do the best job with that. But yeah, something I found as the nonprofit expands is that you cannot do this all alone. You can't run the global programs alone. So I'm really fortunate to have a small team of 5 to 10 girls, depending on the project, who kind of help me run everything.
Just 5 to 10 of you are doing all of this.
Yes.
And reaching out to, what did your website say? How many thousands of girls a year?
So usually we have about 15,000 girls a year reached between webinars, programs, social campaigns, all those different things we do.
And just your group is managing that.
So far, yes.
So what's your kind of main project for your side of things, the day in and day out stuff, or your monthly task that you get to continue to do?
So I kind of take care of everything because I'm kind of the director of everything. So I do a little bit here and there, but right now the main thing is the mentorship program because our signups are still open for that. So right now my day-to-day looks like finalizing all the check-ins that we'll be sending out, finalizing the PDFs that we provide to mentors and mentees that have a bunch of aerospace resources and all that stuff. And then of course, like as the director, my job is also planning ahead and saying where do we want to be in 6 months, where do we want to be in a year. So right now, as we're coming out of the pandemic, my main vision is more in-person events and in-person gatherings, which is very difficult when you're just strewn all over the world. So we're trying to reach out to local societies and local groups that already exist and see if we can pair together and get some sort of in-person thing going. And we do have some really exciting things planned that I can't talk about quite yet, but it's going to be on girlsaerospace.org as soon as we're able to announce it.
Ooh, so fun. Yeah, that would be incredible to have some sort of conference gathering where you can bring all of them together and meet face to face.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think in-person connection is so important. And there's so much we gain from virtual connection too, and being able to talk to people around the globe who we wouldn't see otherwise. But I think we've had a good run with that in the last 3 years. I think we're all getting a little bit sick of that. So I'm really trying to bring us back together face to face.
Oh my God. I would be so excited to hear what you end up planning for that and like all the people you're going to bring together, and just to imagine those young women having that opportunity. Like, did you take part at all in any of the mentor mentee thing?
I did not. Yeah, that's one of the more difficult things about running something like this is sometimes you're giving people more opportunities than you've even gotten yourself. But the way I see it is, I mean, I think of everything as kind of like a cycle where if you put good out, good is going to come back to you. And the amount of opportunities I've gotten to speak with like amazing professionals just because I run Girls in Aerospace has been incredible. And to me, it's totally worth it. So I think I do kind of get that mentorship asynchronously through just, I mean, putting that out in the world, and it's going to come back to me eventually.
Did you ever continue anything for yourself then with that initial flight and the civil corps, that group?
Yeah, so I stayed in the Civil Air Patrol for 4 years. I got to the rank of cadet captain. But I ultimately didn't decide to go the military service route. I decided I wanted to stay civilian because I found that my niche in aerospace was the more cybersecurity, computer science side of aerospace and working on actually developing aerial systems and all of that.
Gotcha.
So right now I'm at the rocketry club at my college, and I kind of do more of like the computer science side of things. So I didn't end up going for my pilot's license or anything like that. Still something I'm very interested in, but just maybe not the career I'm looking into at the moment.
Right.
But yeah, Girls in Aerospace was kind of what helped me skew my interest towards maybe like a more specific realm than just, I really like rockets, I really like space. So it was really helpful for me in my own career development too.
And just think of the connections that you have now, just through the
Definitely.
nonprofit. Oh my gosh. So for yourself, you want to continue this nonprofit, continue growing it even after you've graduated college, and try to keep it going as long as possible.
For sure.
Do you think that in the future, I know this is like really hard to kind of foresee in the future, but do you think that Girls in Aerospace is going to grow so big that eventually some company, I don't want to say NASA, but like there's all these space companies out there. Do you think there's some company that may eventually want to kind of take it under its wing and take it to even a higher level? Do you think that would be
I
a
mean, I
possibility?
definitely think that's a good thing to shoot for. I think that in the aerospace realm, there's a lot of civilian and governmental collaboration, which I think is super awesome. And there's a lot of opportunity to collaborate with NASA on a lower level, like organizing. There's things called NASA downlinks, which is when you pretty much get to call the International Space Station and sit on a Zoom call with them and ask questions. And it's really common to see it in like schools and other kind of groups like that. But maybe extending that into my nonprofit would be doable as well. So there are ways to collaborate with these organizations even right now, but in the future, if that could be on an even greater and more formal scope, I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, and for that, then how are you getting any funding? Do you guys need funding at all? Like as for
Yeah,
your
so
board or to cover, I don't know
yeah,
what
that's
you
actually a
have?
really good question. That was like the main thing I wondered about before as I was funding Girls in Aerospace is like, how does the legal status work? How does the money work? And we are fiscally sponsored, which means that we are under the umbrella of another 501c3 nonprofit, and they grant us their legal status, but we can call ourselves a 501c3. So with the 501c3, we get to collect tax exempt donations. However, I do everything I can to not take donations from individual donors. We run it on absolute minimum amounts of donations possible. So our budget is usually just a few $100s per project to send out prizes and to facilitate all the web infrastructure that we need to run that specific project. But I try to mostly do all the funding from grants from companies rather than individual donors, because I feel that it's just more ethical to take from a company who can get some sort of like advertising return on it and all of that than from an individual donor who maybe won't get as much of a return on their donation.
That's a cool take on it. I never thought about that. Do you then like you were saying, say for future stuff, if you're planning out 6 months, you have some events you want to do. Do you try to take something like that into account when you're trying to budget for things?
Oh,
Or
for sure. So when you're working with like companies to sponsor, usually we do it on a project basis. So I need to think if 6 months in advance I want to launch this project, whether it's a mentorship program or maybe we have a new thing brewing in the works, I have to contact the sponsors ahead of time, give them the brief. Usually it's like applying for internships, right? Where you apply to 100 and maybe you hear back from 10 and then you get an interview for 5 and then 2 actually give you an offer. So it's kind of that sort of process when looking for sponsors where you got to reach out, you got to cast your net really wide, and then maybe you'll catch a few fish. So it does take a lot of planning ahead to find sponsors. And we do take individual donors. If someone wants to donate money, they absolutely can. We have the link on our website. But I try not to reach out and say, hey, donate to our programs and kind of like pester individual donors for that very much, because we have everything we need from companies so far.
Gotcha. And I was just thinking when you were saying you got to reach out to these sponsors and the trying to get the grants, and you're managing this nonprofit as the director, and so you've got a team under you and you're forecasting all of these skills that you're picking up that you picked up while you were in high school. Is something that is so rare. I mean, like you said, you're providing these experiences to these young women as mentors, and for yourself, it kind of came back to you, it seems, where now you have
Yeah, definitely.
Like I said, all these things that maybe a normal high school or college student is not going to get until they really get into the business world. Besides that interest you have in rockets and rocket science, do you see yourself taking all these things you've learned in that experience into like being able to apply it now to college, or do you see yourself being able to apply it to something beyond college?
For sure. I mean, Girls in Aerospace, the things I've learned in this nonprofit has literally helped me with everything, whether that's, I mean, college apps and actually being in college and talking to professors and interview prep. I mean, doing things like this and being able to answer questions all the time has definitely helped me with that. So I'd say like 100%, I think networking is everything, no matter what field you want to go into, but being able to build a network and being able to talk to people and convince them of your views and hear out their views. I think that's a skill that literally no matter what field you want to go into, it's going to be useful. So I knew from the start that Girls in Aerospace was going to help me out, even if it was a social impact project that wasn't really made for me. But for sure, I think already it has done so much for me, and I'm sure whatever field I go into, it'll continue to really help me out with the networking skills and the interview skills and just everything I've built through this.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I'm trying to imagine just what high school was like, and then starting the nonprofit and having that inspiration behind it. It must have been difficult at first for you, whether it was trying to build your own confidence, because now you're trying to build the confidence of these mentees that you're bringing on, but maybe you had some difficulties that you encountered when starting this up or trying to grow it. Can you kind of give me a little bit of a behind the scenes look at what sort of those things were?
Yeah, this was not a smooth process. As with most initiatives that you start, you're always going to encounter some bumps in the road. I'd say the biggest one was either people assuming that I was just doing it for college applications, or people kind of not seeing a need for it, or saying, maybe women just aren't interested in aerospace at the same rate as men, or maybe women just don't want to go into this field. Like, why this doesn't seem like a necessary cause. So there definitely were a lot of doubts that I got, especially when I started getting published in articles and in papers, particularly in like more conservative areas of Europe. I got a lot of backlash from like primarily older men who I would think wouldn't relate to as much to the topic of the article and maybe wouldn't see a need for it, saying, why are you doing this? This is like her parents are doing this. She's too young to possibly lead something like this. So I think the biggest challenge I've gotten has been from other people just doubting like the need of the work, and it is a little bit disheartening to see that when you think that you're doing something selfless and you think that you're helping other people, to have people lash out at you for that. But ultimately, I think that just highlights the need for what I'm doing more, because people see such an issue with it, and people see an issue with supporting women in aerospace. I think that I mean contradicts itself. It shows how much you need it. So ultimately, it's been a motivator, but there definitely have been moments where I just kind of sit back. I'm like, why am I doing this? This takes so much time. Like, what am I doing this for? But it's always been worth it in the end.
Do you have you, I mean, you said initially it kind of started off slow. Were your first group, what do you call it again? A round?
Round, cohort, yeah, addition. We use all kinds of different terms
Yeah.
for it.
So like the initial one you said was like a smaller group. Did you find any difficulties in finding people interested to do it? Or was it once you kind of got the word out about, hey, this is an opportunity, people just started flooding in?
People came in at quite a good rate. I think the problem was with a lot of people not completing like check-ins for us, or not giving us anything back to use to advertise the past editions. So that was like one of our biggest problems there, is we were just giving out free mentorship and not giving anything to kind of prove our results in the end.
Okay.
And that's something that I think you need to fine tune. It's normal in any like business or nonprofit, where you got to figure out a strategy where you're getting a return on whatever you're providing, because we still do need to get some sort of things from the programs we're offering so that we can advertise them in the future and we can have a platform. So now we have check-ins that the mentees fill out. And the lucky thing is, now that we kind of got more well-known, we just have so many mentee applications that we're able to comb through them. And it is a bit more of a selective process. We choose people who like put effort into the application. It's clear that they really want to participate in the program. So that is not really too much of an issue anymore. But in the start, definitely, I think it's a normal hiccup that everyone in this field goes through.
Right. And let me go back then to a few questions back, and it kind of ties into this one. You were talking about where before the mentorship program itself was just kind of, you left it up to the mentor or the mentee of what they wanted to do. And now it's like a 5-week thing, a little bit more directed. So kind of give me an example of what it might look like, and I know it's kind of hard because we don't have maybe the industry, but maybe something that happened just recently with a mentor mentee experience. What was that timeline like for them?
Yeah, so this is actually our first edition of running the 5-week program. So I'm actually not sure what will happen with that yet. That's going to be a surprise to us. Our last edition happened last fall, and that was again pretty freeform, but we had the Discord server this time where people could communicate beyond just their individual pairs. We've had so many success stories. I'll be happy to send over. We have a little compilation of all of them. But I think the most common ones are either girls getting into their dream college because their mentor was able to like fine tune their application, help provide some like maybe you should talk to this person. They can help you with the fine tuning the essay where you want to participate in the programs and all of that. So I think either getting into their dream college, we've had a lot of people land internships and fellowships, especially in Europe, because I think the network there of women in aerospace is so close knit that everyone knows a woman who knows a woman who knows a woman who works somewhere. So it's been awesome. We've had a lot of physics interested aerospace mentors, particularly in Poland, who we've matched with women who have already pursued the field and are very, very well known in Europe for it. And they actually three of them actually ended up in a physics internship after the end of the program because they just networked so much. They got so many connections. They were able to get the interviews. And so it's been absolutely amazing with the results we've been able to see. But I'm not sure about how the 5-week thing will work out yet. We'll see. We have a theme for every week, and it honestly will probably be pretty similar to what's been going on so far because I think most successful mentorship has kind of followed a similar structure. And it's still very freeform. We just kind of have a theme for each week. So for example, week 1, we're working on like introductions and networking. So the mentor talks about, like what is networking? Who would I like recommend that you reach out to? Just talking about like their experience, talking about this is how I can help you with your network. This is where I have influence and all of that. And then as we move on, the weeks go from, networking. We have a week where we just focus on like applying to internships or grad schools or jobs, like whatever the mentee is working on at the moment. So there's all kinds of different themes that we go over the 5 weeks.
Oh my gosh, I like that setup though. It's makes it, it's directed, they know what to expect, and they can kind of see an outcome. So the outcome then that you're hoping for each gal, it seems like there's a lot of different things that could happen. Is there
Super different. Yeah. I think that's the strength of a virtual program is it's just, you get out what you put in, and we take your starting point and we just match you with someone who we think can take you the furthest in 5 weeks. And most of them do stay in contact afterwards. Every once in a while, every 6 months they'll draft up an email of, hey, this is what I've been working on since we last talked. So yeah, that's the awesome thing. It's super individualized.
And you've been able to see everyone that comes through, mentor, mentee, and see their change, their progress. Is there a handful of them that really stood out to you? Maybe like 1 or 2 that really stood out, or just a really cool pairing, and they went above and beyond what you guys really expected.
There have 100% been a lot of pairs like that. Off the top of my head, it's hard to remember because we're talking like now we're going on to 300 mentees that we've had in the program.
Already?
So to talk about like an individual pair off the top of my head, it's a little bit difficult to remember, but we do have them all. We do little interviews sometimes with the mentor mentees that particularly stand out, and we're working on drafting together some articles that are going to be published in the coming months on our website that kind of talk through the story and talk through everything they've accomplished. But I think from all around the world, we've had pairs that have been super successful, and you can tell that they really clicked, and that's just such an awesome feeling to see that we were able to read the applications and make such a good pairing.
Cool. And with the mentees, have there been some areas that you still want to find people in or fill, like you haven't had? I saw you had astronaut, a pilot, you had a gal who was, oh shoot, I'm trying to remember.
We have physicists, we have a lot of analog astronauts, tons of aerospace engineers, of course. We have people who are in like aircraft maintenance. We also even now have people who do like advertising or communications for aerospace companies. So if you're kind of interested in aerospace, but you don't want to pursue that specifically, you want to do more of the media things, we also have that. So literally whatever you want to do, I'm sure we have a mentor who is specialized in it. And mentors are different for each edition. They sign up just for that span. So we have to do mentor sign up every single time we want to do a mentorship program.
Has anyone come around to do multiple? Since you've already had.
For sure. Yeah, we've had people do all 3 of them so far.
Really? Oh my
gosh.
Oh, that'd be so cool. And these can be women all across their career span. So kind of just getting into their career, or they're very advanced in their career and they've been doing it
Yes.
for 30 some years.
Yeah, we've had mentors who are 18 and just started college and are helping out girls who are 14 starting high school to kind of do some like high school extracurriculars. And then we've had women who have had 30-year-long aerospace engineering careers and are now retired, and they're helping out like college women get started. So it's literally all across the board. We've even had mentor-mentee pairs who are super close in age and maybe they're just interested in a similar thing at a similar school. So we pair them up so that they can have a more like individual view at the programs offered in their area. So it's super individual and super unique.
And oh, and I saw you were like when you were in high school, you started this, and you mentioned that you were at your age helping people who were 10 years older than you and providing that experience.
Yes.
I think that's really unique. And usually we kind of hear, okay, learn from your elders, take the wisdom from your elders, but now we're taking kind of the wisdom and the energy, the passion from the younger people. And I really wanted to ask you, do you have something that you would want to pass on to the older generations as wisdom, experience, and insight, just from your point of view growing up in this era and doing this nonprofit?
Yeah, a lot of the times people ask me like what can I do? What can I do to support this cause of women in aviation, aerospace, and STEM in general? And I think the number one biggest thing that anyone can do is not donating or supporting a specific cause per se, but rather just the belief that this can change and this doesn't have to be a forever mindset. I think a lot of the time people look at the discrimination of women in STEM, and they just think like, oh, this is kind of always something we'll have to put up with. Like, I mean, it's unfortunate, but this is kind of just, it's what it is. It's not going to change. And I think that the most helpful thing you can do is to reject that and to say that we have to progress, and we have already progressed, and women have come so far, even in the last 50 years, even in the last decade, in terms of advancing equity in all sorts of fields, not even just STEM. So I think that having the radical belief that this is not always going to be the reality, and that our daughters or our granddaughters are going to be growing up in a world that's much more equitable, I think that's the number one best thing anyone can do, is have that mindset flip.
Perfect. I love that. And I didn't want to take up too much of your time today, but I just wanted to ask one more kind of personal question. You kind of answered it a little bit earlier, but for yourself with the rocket space interest, what's your, I guess, personal goal and plan for the next few years outside of the nonprofit? Like if you could do anything, someone offered you something tomorrow and what would you say yes to?
That's a really good question. I mean, I am 18, so I don't have my whole life figured out yet by any means, but currently I'm at Georgia Tech majoring in computer science. So I'm looking into a CS degree with aerospace extracurriculars as I go through my 4 years of undergrad. And then hopefully I really want to work for a smaller aerospace company, hopefully in the local like Seattle or California area. I want to stay on the West Coast. That's where my family is. And I want to do something to do with rocket computers, like guidance, navigation, control, or avionics. But this is my current interest. If you asked me this 3 months ago, I probably would have had a different answer for you. And 3 months from now, I'll probably have an even different one. So that's my current interest. But I definitely want to combine kind of technology and computing with aerospace. Not sure how we'll figure that out as we go.
Cool. And I saw you built your website, right?
Yes, I did. I update my website every like 6 months to a year. So right now we're going with a very, very simple style. That's the current UI I like. But if you check a year from now, it's probably going to be different.
No, it's looking great, and everything's just laid out perfectly and so easy to find everything on there. And
thank you so much.
Back to that real quick. There's I just on the front page of the website, it says 40,000 young women reached, 5,000 registered members, and 1 central mission. And doing this with a small group like you have just in the past 2 years, and you've already had that reach, it's incredible. And I would not be surprised if this upcoming session and all the future ones, additions, that it explodes in popularity. And I'm
Thank you so much.
excited.
Yeah, I appreciate all the well wishes.
So, but yeah, and I just appreciate your time today, and just I'm I'm happy for you and I'm happy for that progress and just for your personal goals and successes so far too. And it's going to be really exciting to see all your new interests and passions kind of come to light over your college career. But I just appreciate, you know, your time today, Carolina. And before I let you go, did you have any questions for me or for the group? And I know we're gonna keep in touch anyways, but just something
Definitely.
for me right now or the group in the future, I can pass that on to them. And I know they'll definitely have some questions that I'll bring back to you.
Sounds good. Yeah, I don't think I have any questions right now directly. I just wanted to say thank you so much for your time and your interest and your support and all the positive words. It really means a lot when groups of professionals and just people and hobbyists who find this interesting. So that's our number one area of support is from people who just care about aerospace. So I'm so happy to share my story and the nonprofit story with you today.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I can't wait to see and hear about the new things that are going to be coming up. So
yes, absolutely. We'll keep in touch for sure. I'll send over like a little media packet for you that has some mentee testimonials and then some photos in case you want to share anything like that.
Yeah.
But no pressure. So I'll include all of that in an email to you as soon as I can.
cool. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
Wishing you the best,
Thank
Carolina.
you.
Take care.
Have a good evening.
You
Keep in
too.
touch.
Bye-bye.
Very cool. Thank you. You want to, I can see Louis' hands moving, but I don't hear any clapping. It just me that much filtering. No, I heard somebody giggle, so that was how I do my tests, you know. If I make a joke, then something happens, right?
But they have to be funny.
Oh, this is about as much as you're gonna get the way I'm feeling. Do you want a break or do you want to go straight into the business meeting?
Keep rolling. Keep it rolling.
Keep rolling. All right. Let's see. Where am I? So, Mike, I'm gonna have you hand the mic around. I'm not gonna try to do this quick myself. I'm trying to reduce the amount of speaking I'm doing, but here we go. Let's see, where did I put it? Oh, there it is. Okay. So, Secretary's report. We have the minutes. Should we say as printed in the Stella? Is there any corrections?
I think we can do is printed in the Stella. Has anybody seen any errors that need correcting?
We need a motion for that.
Yeah, just a second.
Put them on the screen a little bit.
Is there let's see. Is there a motion to accept the minutes as printed in the Stella?
I move such, so moved.
Say your name.
Mike Motorson.
Seconded.
Kim Moss Allen.
Kim Moss Allen, seconded.
Thank you. The motion's been made and seconded to accept the minutes as they are printed in the Stella. All those in favor say aye. Opposed?
No.
No.
I didn't read them. I didn't read them.
Hmm?
I didn't read them.
Oh, okay. Unqualified. All right. Let's see. I got to switch to Treasurer's report is next. I don't know if Mike is there.
Is there?
Oh, okay.
I
Cool.
am here.
Nice.
Took me a minute to walk up front. So in October, we had income of $334.28 in dues. Sold $95 worth of solar glasses. Received $390 from Papillion La Vista Schools outreach programs. $30 for rent of one of the buildings at Astro Park, for a total income last month of $839.83. Expenditures was just $14 was refunded for overpayment of dues. We kicked in one pair of glasses too to make up for overpayment of dues. For total expenditures of $14. Account balance at the end of the month, $16,919.51. Which I would add, in this month so far, we have received a donation, I guess, from a foundation for $1,025. Benevity Foundation.
It's fantastic. Benevity is a foundation that allows employers to let their employees do donations as well as do matching funds. So according to the documents that Mike had sent me, it looks like it was employees from Apple Incorporated and Pinterest Incorporated on that specific donation. We don't know who they are. We just know that the employees had donated that for matching. So that was a kind of a surprise to us this week.
A nice surprise.
Yeah, it is a nice surprise. So that, of course, will show up on the November Treasurer's report because that came in after the report was filed. Anything else, Mr. Treasurer?
Not far away, but no.
Oh, I can still hear you.
Okay.
Thank you. I better make a note. Let's see. Steve did file a report. He had to leave. It was in the chat. And he said, quick VP report. He has contacted 5 companies for bids to the service of the lighthouse at Astro Park. So far, he's only heard back from 1. For $65 a month, they will empty and replenish the sanitary fluid in the lighthouse, clean and dry it, and supply toilet paper. That's a lot better than the $200 the old company was quoting. He's still waiting for more bids, and we'll be printing this to the club for a commitment. He will follow up on Discord for the board. Oh, I guess that number 1 item has been updated by Mike earlier tonight. For old business, number 2, just because that says 10 a.m. there, I did not change the slide. So that'll be 11 o'clock this month for, 9 a.m. for Misrule, 11 a.m. for the telescope repair. Thank gosh. Reestablish building and pad numbers. I have the stencils, not had a chance to do it yet. Progress on creating the website. I've had to shift my focus to the Misrule website. So I've been kind of working on that for now. New business. Big discussion. Library telescope program, moving the telescopes for storage. I need to pop out of here so we can talk. Mike, do you want to explain what's going on with the storage?
I have the 50 telescopes and eyepieces came in. They were received by one of my former employers who has a loading dock and was gracious enough to receive the freight truck and the 4 pallets that they were loaded on. He is, however, wanting to get them out of his facility because he's got a lot of it's a windows and doors business, and he's got a lot of product that he needs to store of his own stuff. So I got to do something with him, like early part of next week, pretty much. I can take them to my house. That is an option. But we have, I guess, we had been talking in the board meeting about some other options. Like that. Yes.
Yes.
How long are they gonna be there? How long in storage are we talking about?
Well, they're,
Because we know where they're all going, right?
yes, yep, yeah, it's a matter of like, obviously they're gonna be around until at least the 18th when we have the workday. And assuming that we somehow get through all 50 in that one session, then we'll start making the arrangements, to logistics to get them out to those libraries. Some of them will be shipped out on the library's expense. Some of them will be picked up. There's a couple around here that I can, arrange to maybe deliver. But it could be a couple months before all of them are gone.
I could stack up quite a few of them around there. I wouldn't mind having somebody else load them.
Well, yeah, I was hoping to maybe, because you have a trailer
Yes.
as an option to utilize it, although I talked to their delivery coordinator today. About seeing if I could sweet talk them into dropping off the pallets either at my house or wherever we decide, a storage unit, whatever we're gonna do. Because they have a truck with a lift gate where they can just drop the pallets real easy. But yeah. That's what I got.
No, it's an option, I'm really saying.
But yeah, in the board meeting, I think we had talked a little bit about, because Mike W. had brought up the storage unit idea a meeting or two ago. And I know that would take some, beyond the library telescopes, that would take some pressure off of Stafford and Stafford Son as an option to store some things, some of the library telescopes that don't go out very often. And like I said, I have 3 in my house that could be elsewhere.
I have one at my house. And I think Mike has one at his house too, Mr. Gallagher.
Do I?
The 9 1/4.
No, that's at my house too.
I don't have.
Oh, that's it. Oh, sorry. I can't keep track of the mics.
Yes, I have several telescopes, I must have one of yours.
That will, as part of the prairie stem thing, that will be delivered to them for that. Yes.
So is there a recommendation for what we do?
Well, John's got an option up there for a storage unit, and if it's something, obviously the club would have to vote on it. So any thoughts on the club having a small storage area to stack a bunch of scopes inside?
I think it's a waste of money.
Okay.
You store them at different places.
But John was looking to see what various prices were.
Is that what that slide's showing us? It's,
Yeah, it's
can you
showing,
enlarge it any? Is it, do we have locations?
Think at the university won't let us have a big closet somewhere?
$25.
I wouldn't put anything near a construction zone. Things walk away. It's only an option. Don't have to vote for it.
Everybody think it's a good idea?
Where's the location?
Yeah, I was gonna
Of the
say.
storage unit.
This location is off of the interstate, so it's right off the interstate at Irvington exit. So it's pretty accessible.
Yeah, you see it as you drive Interstate 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also
But
pretty
it's not-
close to the treasurer. I'm sorry, Louis.
It's not real close to Stafford's location.
You can get stuff up there on
The most stuff in town does cost more than stuff farther out.
Makes sense.
What do you think, Stafford, since this kind of affects you more than some of the rest of us?
Well, as it stands right now, I have to go someplace else to pick up telescope loan items anyway, so it's a little further out for sure, but it's highway miles, so. No, it might involve a little bit more time. Sometimes I can be pretty responsive.
Well, I don't think we have to approach it like everything has to go there. You know, you can say things that aren't normally loaned out, or you can close, you know, your son's house doesn't have to have them, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
John?
Yeah.
Is there a time commitment? I mean, do we sign a year? Do we have to get it for a year or 2 years or?
Let's look. Doesn't say so far.
That's pretty good.
That's not too bad. It looks like it's.
Is that big enough?
What's number 3, account details?
Number 3, account. Oh, I gotta.
Gotta do, yeah.
Probably have to, you gotta do all, you have to keep going through the closet action. Yeah, but will it get, would that be, Stafford, would that be adequate enough, 50 square feet there, because it's 10 by 5, is that? Would that be enough to get the library telescopes in, or is it?
It would fit all the library telescopes stacked up in there.
They're leaving.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, that'd be
Right
just
now,
temporary, yeah.
But that's a one-time good deal, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a short-term deal. And then after that, it would be for storing the loaner scopes and anything else that the club acquires that needs storage space.
Truth is, I have never really measured how much space I use, because I kinda got it
Strung all
scrolled
over,
in
all
among
over
a
the
number
place.
of items.
Well, the immediate problem is the library telescope.
Yeah.
So we could always just get it to store the library telescopes, and then after those have been moved out, decide whether we want to keep it to use for the telescope loan program or give up the lease and keep storing scopes in various members'
Yeah, I don't.
garages.
If we're just doing it for just the library telescopes, I agree with Mike that we have between my house and his house, we can probably squirrel them away without too much trouble. Carmen is on board with having them piled up 5 high in the living room.
I also have my RV.
And so we can squirrel away the library scopes one way or another. But it's more about it for long term, if it's something that we think it'd be a value to have to store, so take some pressure off of those of us who are storing library or loaner telescopes or various other objects.
Do have plenty of stuff that needs to be stored. I'm okay with the club spending some money to have a simple storage unit and take the pressure off everybody else, especially with the short-term library telescope loan program.
I agree. Yeah, and then, and Stafford, going on to your point that, you know, you have the club's loan telescope program. Would that be more advantageous for you just to kind of get them all in one place? And if you can get them all in one place.
It would be helpful to get them out of my son's garage. I will say that for
That location's pretty fair distance from where you live, is there? But like John says, it's probably more expensive if you get into closer somewhere. I know there's some over there on Blondo and Maple or 72nd.
I don't think we're
But the
necessarily.
question is, are some of those safer than this one would?
Yeah.
We're not necessarily, has to be that location. I think that would be open if we want to set like a maximum budget for what we'd be willing to spend a month for it.
And-
Obviously, we hadn't budgeted for it for this year, yeah.
Correct.
Well,
Presidential emergency funds.
we might want to get some basic measurements too, because you said you don't know how much
Yeah,
room
that's-
you're actually
That's
using
one
to
of the
store them.
things I
Get a
should
tape
probably be
measurement.
prepared to explore this with further, because if everything's in the garage, it fills it up pretty well. If it's not, which is part of the time too, it's.
There would be the ability to put maybe a small shelving unit, you know, 2-foot shelf on down the side that had 2 levels, so you could maximize that. You put dobs below and stack cases above, or
Now, the other question too, I would have, is this where you would also keep your outreach scopes?
don't really, I mean, we don't, the only outreach scope we have is the hydrogen alpha at this point. I think.
Well, and that little.
The robotics.
Project, we're not.
You got a solar scope.
You got the one,
900
the one that does, projecting onto the paper.
Oh, I think Mike has that currently. so-
It's in my car and I'm wondering if you want it.
I would see those probably staying with either John or I for when we use them. That's up to, I mean, it would be an option, obviously, if we're not gonna use them for a while. They could go there. So pretty small. That's a pretty small one, so.
I'm just thinking that, you know, a 10 by 5, 50 square feet might not be enough space for the telescope and binocular lone scopes. It's enough for the library scopes, but we might need a bigger space if we want to be storing.
Yeah, I mean, I could see where, you know, for Stafford's sake, if there's stuff that he knows goes, you know, turns over a lot, that those would just, he could keep those.
Yeah.
Now, these units don't have any shelves or anything in them, do they?
No.
But you could,
Bays.
we could
I'd
buy
be-
shelves.
Be more than happy to fabricate
Easy enough to get,
Something.
something, just curious.
She just offered to fabricate.
I have plenty of scrap lumber and plywood laying around.
How many people would be willing to take some of those telescopes, the library telescopes, and stack them in their house somewhere?
Yeah, the library telescopes, again, is not the, that's kind of what started the conversation, but
Right.
I don't think that's that's not enough of a reason on its own to do
To
this.
do this, yeah.
Cause it's 3 months from now, they're all gonna be gone.
Transient, yeah.
And I,
Well, if you don't have to worry about storing them somewhere and getting them out of your living room or wherever they're stacked.
I'm more worried about how we get them from wherever they are to the brain exchange and back on that Saturday. That's my biggest issue with the library scopes is transporting them from A to B to A again. Because I can only fit, 9 in my car maybe.
I've got a truck, I can
You know,
help.
you can taking them out of the box, you can fit a lot more, but the boxes are 17 by 17 by 22. If you keep them in the box.
I would like to keep them in the box so don't get banged up.
Well, some of them we're gonna have to mail back out, so we need to keep the boxes. Some of them will get picked up and they can just roll loose, but
So this is really more about the telescope loan program.
just more of the club think, if there's any use or value to the club to have a storage space for club-owned items. And anything we might accrue in the future.
I would like to make a motion to have Stafford get an idea roughly how big an area you need.
Yeah,
And then come back to us with a size idea, and we can decide at that point what we wanna do with a storage unit.
I second that motion.
yeah, that's probably the first metric we would need to make that decision.
Yep.
Now, are these ceiling tiles 2 foot by 2 foot here?
They look like
Probably.
they're
The reason I ask is we can give ourselves at least a little mental picture
less than two
of what the
miles.
size of a 10-foot by 5-foot space would be.
Say they're more like 18 inches.
I was gonna say they're 18.
Right.
A 10 by 5 space is like a walk-in closet.
Right.
Yeah, it's not particularly huge. Is where-
Not
is
really
where I'm
big. So if you're taking up if you're taking up a big chunk of someone's garage, a 10 by 5 foot space is not gonna be big enough.
And if we're gonna put other things in it, that's
Yeah.
another consideration, because I seem to recall when we started banging this around, there were some club signs and some other concepts
Exactly.
like that you were proposing. But if you,
Yeah, I've got a second.
if you think
banner
about it,
stand.
how the Schmitz, the two, are all, all of a sudden, the 10 inches, the 8 inch, and all the Schmitz came in, and the 13 inch, that's a pretty healthy footprint. Plus they have accessory cases and in some cases tripods, which is where I was going with the shelves and stuff, so it's.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Shelves would be great because then you multiply your.
Yeah,
In
I would think
winter
that
time
you want
especially is when the goodies start coming back in, so.
one main shelf that would be like 4.5 feet
Yep.
off the ground, so you could stand those dobs straight up underneath.
Yep.
And then put your cases up above.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, there's ways around it, plus you can put the refractor sets on the shelves.
Maybe some options to like hang the tripods or mount the tripods in some fashion. To keep them up.
Sure.
So more exploration into the.
Yeah, we got a motion and a second. Yeah, so
Yep. A motion has been made and seconded to have Stafford find out how much space would be needed for the telescopes.
Yep.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
I made the proposal, I better not oppose.
Well, huh.
Never know with you, Bill.
Next new item. Holiday party food order and pickup. Last year and the previous year, we ordered from Hy-Vee. And then Stafford and I ran out to go pick it up real quick before we came over to the farm. There's a bit of a tight time limit for me coming from Council Bluffs. So I don't know if we're not going to be getting the whole meal like previous years because everybody's going to be doing the side dishes. So it just should be a meat item. So pretty much going to say it's chicken because we've always done chicken. Does anybody have a problem with that? And then we'll do the vegetarian component as well. I'll get some advice from those who RSVP'd for that to see how that would work out for them.
I can, this is Sonali. Last year I got a tofu dish. I can get that again. I think it's kind of goes with vegan, vegetarian. It satisfies all the vegan, vegetarian part of it.
And I
But
think
chicken is good.
And it was
And
went over well
gluten-free.
too, didn't it?
Yeah, I think I didn't take anything back with me. So yeah, and I checked this time before I left. I just have to order it 48 hours in advance. So if I have a sense of how much, I can bring that.
Okay. I think we had 2 or 3, if I remember correctly. Because I sent an email out to the officers that was saying how many signups we had so far, and it was 19 on that. I've got way too many tabs open on my computer. So I think you signed some people up tonight, Mike. Is that correct?
Just one.
Okay, so that number would have gone up, but we'll get an idea.
Does anybody else need to sign up? Maybe want to sign up?
Now, in the past, we've done, what was it, Raising Canes?
Their chicken fingers.
Would you do that in a tray format, or would you like to just do like a Hy-Vee grilled chicken breast thing? Okay.
I think either is good.
Chicken tenders?
Bill
right.
likes him some chicken fingers.
Vote.
Right. Well, we can decide on which restaurant it is.
We can make that a board decision.
Yeah, we'll do that. And we'll go from there on that. That shouldn't be a problem. Well, that's good. We don't need to vote on that, do we?
No,
Thank you.
I think the board should decide based on what's gonna be easiest to pick up and
Mm-hmm.
everybody will be dashing over after work.
Were you looking for a volunteer to pick up food then? Is that what you're getting at?
Just the meat portion, yeah.
There's a few of us that don't, are not employed, you know, that could probably do it.
Depends on where it's,
problem at
yeah,
all.
where you order it from.
Mhm.
Well, then that'll inform that decision. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it depends where you order from. If you're going Hy-Vee, I could probably do something like that if it's the one way out there on 144th Highway 50. That's a big right on the way, but
We've usually done the one in Shadow Lake because it's, I think that was the closest one to the farm.
you know, depends on where you're coming from.
We can look.
Well,
on-
that's true.
We can look on a map and see where the closer Raising Canes are located as well.
If it's in Shadow Lake, I can pick it up on the way, because that's on the way for me. I'm happy to do that.
So.
Did you hear that, John?
No, sorry, I had a coughing fit.
Kim volunteered to pick up from Shadow Lake.
Okay. Thank you, Kim. All right, that sounds good. Thank you. Anything else? Crickets. No, I can't see Bill.
Motion to close.
Thank you. And second,
Second in.
so that must be Mike Motors. All right.
Probably wants to stay, I guess.
I'm too tired to say yes.
Now, this gives us more time to socialize after the meeting, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
What's that?
We have a
All in
vote
favor?
first.
We need to vote to adjourn.
Backlot tap house after.
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Because if I say we can chat afterwards after I gavel out, you won't hear me. Because you'll overpower my low voice here.
So you're wanting us to stay?
You can stay if you want, or you can go to the bar.
Or both?
Yes. That could work too. But I will not be joining you. So
You can join us via Zoom.
a motion has been made and seconded to adjourn the business meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Yay. Thank you. Just a sec.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Sonali.